Hey guys, this is Fate from Diablo3strategyguide.com bringing you guys another free video. Today I'm going to be quickly walking you guys through a Skeleton King run, going over a couple of the strengths and weaknesses of it, when you should do it, when you should move on to kind of the higher level Act 1 runs like a Butcher run. And so, real quickly, I'm going to show you here some of the strengths. It's easy. They're slow monsters. Most of them are skeletons. The Skeleton King is probably one of the easiest set bosses in the game, and it also offers better loot than hell, and it's also short. And it took me about 20 minutes, but I am a bit overgeared during this video, as you'll quickly realize. Alright, so first things first, you're going to want to select the quest Reign of the Black King, and you're going to want to select the Royal Crypts part of that. And generally when you're doing these runs, you're going to always want to select the furthest or the closest point to the boss that you're going to fight, because you always have the option of moving backwards regardless. Obviously you don't want to move past the boss because then you can't actually fight him, but you always can fight your way to the boss and then kind of backtrack, kill a couple mobs in order to get your 5 stacks, and then move forwards once again. Alright, real quickly before we get into the actual video, I'm going to quickly go over kind of the levels that you're going to be fighting from. You're going to be fighting in the Cathedral level 3 and 4, as well as the Royal Crypts, which is where you fight the Skeleton King. And usually what you'll do is in these runs, you'll only end up with 2 to 3 stacks of Nephalem Valor after fighting through both the Cathedrals level 3 and 4, and you won't find any elite mobs in the Royal Crypts. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to really get those 5 stacks so you are ensured 2 rares when you fight this and kill the Skeleton King. So what you're going to want to do is teleport back home and go to the Cemetery of the Forsaken, and then kind of fight your way southwards to the Weeping Hollow. Now you don't necessarily need to go to either of these 2 areas, but these are kind of the preferred areas that I found that I can easily find elite mobs and kill them. Alright, so let's get into some of the gameplay. Okay, so this video is a little bit sped up, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the furthest waypoint to the Cathedral level 3, and you're going to want to fight your way through it, and make sure you clear out the full level, because oftentimes there will be a couple packs of elites within this area, and you're definitely going to want to kill all those. The elites in these areas tend to be fairly weak. In general, for me in particular, the mobs that tend to give me the most trouble tend to be the quicker mobs, and skeletons are exactly the opposite of that. And I mean, occasionally you run into a little bit of a tricky mob here, but you should honestly be able to kill pretty much everything with relative ease when you're doing this run. And frankly, if you can't do that, you should seriously consider going back to farming Hell Act 4 or Act 3, as you're probably not ready for Inferno difficulty. This is probably the easiest run you can do in Inferno, and if you can successfully execute this, I do recommend that you do this. In general, times when you should kind of move on are times when you can comfortably do the Warden Butcher run, which we will also be making a free video for. And so you can check that out on our channel, D3 Strategy Guide on YouTube. Alright, so right now you can see I am clearing this area out and moving on towards the Cathedral level 4. And here we are, and the Cathedral level 4 is pretty much kind of an identical looking dungeon. So I am going around killing elites. And to real briefly go over kind of how these stacks of Nephalem Valor work with set bosses such as the Butcher, the Skeleton King, Zoltan Kuhl, or Belial in Act 2, and so on, is that for the first stack of Nephalem Valor, you're guaranteed 1 additional magical item if you kill a boss with 1 stack of Nephalem Valor. The second and third stacks ensure additional rares, so if you kill a set boss rather, with 3 stacks of Nephalem Valor, you are going to be insured 3 magical items, and if you kill that same boss with 4 stacks, you will get those 3 magical items as well as a rare item. And the 5th one ensures an additional rare. So as a result, if you're killing these bosses, such as the Skeleton King, with the full 5 stacks of Nephalem Valor, then then you will be insured 3 additional magical items and 2 rares. So it's really important that you have those 5 stacks when you go into fighting one of these bosses. And so you can see I continue to fight my way through both of the cathedral levels, and eventually I will find the royal crypts. And generally what I like to do when I get to these areas, and you'll see this in a moment, is I like to town portal back and then use a waypoint to go to kind of the area that I want to find additional elite mobs. And I will kill those elite mobs, and I will make sure not to town portal back, and rather go back to the waypoint back, and then use my old town portal to immediately go to kind of the area that you'll fight that boss. And you do that for a couple reasons. It's just mainly good for streamlining it. In addition, if you will have problems against kind of that elite set boss, it will ensure the kind of the maximum amount of time to actually kill him. And sometimes this can be important if you're facing Belial or something like that, and you want to be able to kill him with the stacks, or you want to have the maximum amount of tries, then that can be a very good thing to do. So to compare this to the kind of the other big Act 1 run, the Butcher run, and the Butcher Warden run is kind of the standard Act 1 run that is a little bit more popular than this. Well, this one takes a little bit shorter of time, and you will get kind of a slightly lower level of loot. So if you can do the Butcher run, like I've said earlier, I think you should, because, and part of this is because you will be facing 2 set bosses when you face the Butcher, the Warden and the Butcher, and this kind of ensures that you're going to be getting 4 rares from both of those bosses. It's also a little bit easier to find elite packs when you are fighting your way through the Halls of Agony, the Highlands Passage, and the Chamber of Suffering. As an alternative to going in the Cemetery of the Forsaken, you can also kind of go into those 2 defiled crypts, which I just passed right there, and generally you'll be able to find at least 1 or 2 elite mobs within there. I kind of prefer to fight in these more open spaces, so I searched in the Weeping Hollows as well as the Cemetery of the Forsaken. Alright, so you see I find my 2 elite mobs extremely quickly, get my loot, and I am off on my way back to the waypoint like we've talked about earlier, and into the town portal. And at this point you get locked within the dungeon, so you have to fight this dungeon skeleton king at this point, so make sure you're ready for the fight. And this is definitely one of the easiest boss fights in my opinion. He's very slow, it's easy to predict his movements, and frankly if you can't beat him you're probably under geared. And so there we go, I grabbed my loot, and that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please check out this as well as our other videos on Diablo3strategyguide.com. This was kind of an intermediate level video, kind of for those of you that just got to Inferno. We have videos geared towards both beginners as well as higher level Inferno players. So please check out both our channel, D3 Strategy Guide, as well as our website, www.diablo3strategyguide.com. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.